If you've ever looked up into the night sky and knew without a doubt that there is some awe-inspiring being from a different dimension looking down upon you, then you aren't wrong. Up in the vast field of stars are the ancient elder evils who have slipped into our worlds from the far realm. They have infected the stars, and apparently those stars hate the world. From their stars, the elder evils send down their envoys, those who herald their inevitable arrival on the world. The star spawn are not a singular species, but rather a type of monster ushered into our worlds by ancient extra-dimensional beings. First introduced in the 4th edition Monster Manual 2, released in 2009, the Starspawn aren't just a single being created by an insane wizard, but rather a category of monsters created by different elder evils with the express purpose of infecting and corrupting the multiverse. Starspawn are specifically sent from the elder evils that infested the stars of our worlds, and each star, and by extension each elder evil, will have different Starspawn based on the power, needs, and hungers. Some stars will only have a single type of Starspawn, while another star may have dozens of different forms it sends its heralds in, but each star is restricted to how often they can send their spawn, which is about once a year being the most they can accomplish. This is largely due to the celestial movements of objects and stars, as they must wait for planets to align or be close enough to worlds to fling their spawn into them. This book features 3 star spawn and the stars that created them. The first is probably the most well-known of all the elder evil stars, Hadar. The Herald of Hadar appears like a fiendish monster grasping for life, attempting to grab onto creatures with its claws and fulfill its yearning for life. The first inkling that anyone would have about Hadar is from the Player's Handbook, released in 2008, where the warlock power Hunger of Hadar is first introduced. This is the first mention of this elder evil, whetting a player's appetite to finally learn who, or what, Hadar and its spawn were about. The Herald of Hadar is a monster spawned from the dull red glow of the Hadar star, which was once the brightest star in the sky before it burnt itself out during the calamities of Bal Turath. The Heralds are thought of as the dying gasps of Hadar, attempting to siphon life back into the star that spawned it. It journeys across the worlds, attacking the living, draining creatures of their life, and sending it back to Hadar to hold off its death. The biggest ability comes from when you regain hit points while fighting this creature. It feeds off that energy, suddenly rejuvenating it for a few rounds and making it even more dangerous to fight. The Maw of Akamar is the next star spawn. The star entity of Akamar was first hinted at in the Player's Handbook as the warlock power Wrath of Akamar. Akamar is a corpse star, a star that has died and is a void of nothingness, devouring other stars that draw close to it in the deep space. Think sentient black hole that hates and devours literally everything. The star spawn is the star's hunger-given form in a black void humanoid-like body, destroying and eating anything that wanders close while on its march across the world. While fighting the Maw, you are first drawn in closer to the creature, making it difficult terrain if you try to move further away from the being. If you are able to escape its incessant pull, it can grip you with its magic, dragging you back to where you started, where it can then touch you, dealing 15 damage that lasts every turn until you concede on your save against it. These powers only get stronger if you attempt to recover hit points while you are near it, causing its pull to grow stronger and for you to take additional damage every round from its touch. The last star spawn shown off is the Scion of Gibbeth, the spawn of a cursed green star. Gibbeth first appears in Dragon number 366, released in August of 2008, in the article Wish Upon a Star by Bruce R. Cordell. The article mentions that one shouldn't think about Gibbeth, even for just a little bit, as imagining what it really looked like would be enough to crack lesser minds and put yourself under intense mental strain. There is no known form of Gibbeth, simply because its impossibility and appearance cause its minds to break and madness to flood through a world. When one gazes upon the Scion of Gibbeth, what you gaze upon is different from what your allies might see, as your mind reels at what it sees and instead puts something familiar to you. You might see a green, hideous mass with an assortment of arms and legs, while your ally may gaze upon a red bull oozing with horrific slime and odd contusions. What each person sees is real to them, and just another anomaly you must deal with while you fight this creature. The Scion attacks by tearing apart your mind with its gaze, dominating your person, and taking control of your body. Even if you can withstand its mental attacks, when you strike the spawn, you are met with its psychic gaze that brings devastation with it, crushing your mind and forcing you to move based on the Scion's will. If you attempt to heal while near this foul creature, you only end up making it stronger, granting it a bonus on its attack rolls until the end of its next turn. Even if you manage to kill the scion of Gibbeth, its remaining psychic energy lashes out, causing all those nearby to briefly lose their minds and attack their allies until they are able to overcome it. Returning to Dragon number 366 and the article Wish Upon a Star, we can learn a little bit more about the strange entities that form the star spawns, sending them to the worlds to feed them life, material, and to further their ultimate goals of corrupting the multiverse. This article is focused on the Warlock Star Pact feature that influences what powers they gain as they level up, as well as information on how you could play a Warlock who made a pact with a star entity. Star packs are a very new way for a Warlock to gain power, and so this article helps players better understand what their decisions to form a pact with the stars has in store for them. Not every star in the night sky houses an entity within it, but there are very specific stars that are elder evils. With that said, not every star entity has to be from the far realm. It could very well be that they were formed when the multiverse was and are just ancient creatures whose form is that of a star. The best information about the Eldritch stars comes from the scroll Revelations of Malek. It is wound inside an obsidian cylinder that is scribed with star constellations and contains information on several of the stars that are willing to make pacts, whether conscious or unconsciously. They are Akamar, a corpse star that harkens doom, Kaifon, a purple star of betrayal, Delbin, an ice water star of winter, Gibbeth, a green star that should not be gazed or thought upon, Hadar, the cinders of a star lurking in the night sky, Ibar, the dark nebula between stars, Kairad, a piercing blue star that reveals gruesome secrets, Nihal, a writhing reddish star, Ulben, a blue-white light that disrupts cognition, and Zuden, a baleful corpse star that was extinguished long ago. Each of these stars houses an eldritch being that is seeking to expand its influence and hunger across the worlds, sending Starspawn to carry out their hate, hunger, and need for the worlds. More Starspawn are conjured in our world with the release of the Monster Manual 3 in 2010, featuring the spawn of Ulben, emissary of Kaifon, and the serpent of Nihal. Each of these are stars we previously mentioned, sending their servants forth when the star Alabar, Opener of the Way, shoots past them on its erratic path through the stars. Alabar is a living star/planet that, while not specifically a star spawn, is somehow linked to them, providing a gap between this multiverse and the realms outside of it, allowing the star beings to summon forth a spawn into our worlds whenever Alabar gets close. Alabar was first formed by the primordials at the beginning of the multiverse, though they weren't alone. The gods noticed the primordials' creation and breathed life into it for some reason. Fearing the power that the planet had, the gods flung it into the far realm. It spent millennia in the far realm, where it was warped and twisted, returning to the multiverse full of malevolence for the multiverse and the creations that the gods had created. It now spends its time opening gateways between the far realm and the multiverse, sending Starspawn into the world to destroy them. Some believe it is looking for revenge and the ultimate destruction of the world. Some others believe that it is attempting to transform the world into a perverted semblance of life like itself. What few people know is that a silent war, known as the Forgotten War, has been taking place between the stars and the world for over 1,000 years. The Starspawn are the Star's foot soldiers, though they do not just engage in combat as many soldiers would, but also seek to influence the worlds they arrive at in any way possible. Arriving alone on a given world, Starspawn know that they cannot accomplish their goals single-handedly. Each spawn has its own methods to find allies and raise an army to complete their goals. They may attempt to influence humanoids, but usually find all sorts of evil creatures to join them. War needs soldiers, and these creatures are the Starspawn's frontline warriors. Unfortunately for them, they are little more than cannon fodder, since the Starspawn doesn't give a hoot about them. They are focused on one goal only: to serve their star, destroy the fabric of civilization, and once that is done, wipe out all life on the world. Our first star spawn is the spawn of Ulben, a star focused on betrayal and strife. It fights by causing its enemies to squabble and attack each other, forgetting that the spawn is there, manipulating them and causing such strife between them. It appears as a tentacled creature with a humanoid torso, conjuring blue fire that burns and freezes its enemies at the same time. The emissary of Kaifon is much like the star that spawned it, patient and biding its time. It waits until a town begins suffering, famine, or a drought causing discontent. It spreads rumors and secrets, causing unrest to all it speaks to. Since it disguises itself with magic, appearing like an ordinary humanoid, it can infiltrate into anyone's trust, spreading rumors of mistrust. It uses a creature's needs against it, causing mental anguish and telling them what they want to hear, turning them against even their closest allies. The last is the Serpent of Nihal, a spawn made of pure star stuff. We are in the dark just as much as you, dear listener, about what star stuff is. They feed on every living creature they can find, feeding the Star of Nihal, who slivers its way across the night sky. When they attack, they blink in and out of reality, suddenly surrounding their victims as their numbers grow larger and larger. On occasion, a suitably powerful master might exert control over the groups, but is only a temporary event, as Nihal never loses control over its spawn. They whisper false promises, worming their way into the trust of any who might seek to summon the power of Nihal, destroying them when the time is right to cause the greatest destruction. The last of the Star Spawn appears in Dungeon number 207, released in October of 2012 in the adventure Star Haunt by Craig Campbell and Christopher Perkins. This adventure features two new Star Spawn, the Star Beckoner and the Star Wisp. These are not true Star Spawn, but rather come about in different ways. The Star Beckoner is formed when a humanoid undergoes a transformation under the light of a baleful star, twisting and changing it into a mass of black tentacles in humanoid shape. The Star Wisp are the minuscule fragments of evil stars that act as seeds. They are frail, but help to further the end goals of the Star Spawn and the star that formed them.
The Star Spawn crash land in the 5th edition in Mordekainen's Tomb of Foes from 2018, with a change in why they are known as Star Spawn. The elder evils that send them are not the stars that twinkle in the night sky, but rather they are the ones stuck or trapped in the far realm, only able to send envoys into the multiverse. Mordekainen's even says not to blame the stars for these creatures, that such beauty could never create these beings. The reason they are called Star Spawn is that they are ushered into the world on comets, or at least comets that are often a signifier that they are traveling and arriving. When warlocks and cultists see such signs in the night sky, they rush to pull out their eldritch texts and perform dark rituals to usher in the Star Spawn. Acting as a group of air traffic controllers, these evil humanoids direct the Star Spawn where to land their comets. Star Spawn are the foot soldiers of the Elder Evil, and the Spawn are responsible for carrying out their master's will in the multiverse. This might be to bring about complete devastation, or perhaps to find ways to weaken the multiverse and allow the Elder Evil access to it personally. They take on many forms, from roughly humanoid to odd and spindly with incorrect anatomy. Cultists have a variety of reasons why they might summon forth a Star Spawn, but it's most likely that their minds are not their own and they have descended into madness. This sourcebook presents 5 Star Spawn, untied to any Elder Evil that might have created them, and they are the Gru, Hulk, Larva Mage, Mangler, and the Seer. The Gru is the weakest of all the Star Spawn and often travels in packs behind a stronger one. They appear with spindly legs and long arms, fangs and lipless grins, and covered in patches of bristles and spines. They are constantly chittering, the noises they make causing creatures a mental break where they are unable to focus properly. Another common foot soldier are the Manglers, who are described as creeping horrors. They have anywhere from 4 to 8 arms and are often hiding in shadows. They are often summoned as they make excellent guards and assassins, and their ability to ambush creatures ensures that they have greater accuracy in their attacks against unwary prey. The Hulks are large Star Spawn that appear as hulking ogres covered in glistening translucent skin. Their lidless eyes glare balefully at creatures, and they are not going to be found alone as they lack individuality and willpower. They're used for their raw strength, smashing through those that would stop their master's plans, but they also have a unique trait. When they are dealt psychic damage, it bounces off of them and instead hits every creature within 10 feet. This might mean that if you get 2 of them together, you could bounce psychic energy off of them. The single attack bouncing back and forth for eternity between the two. Or maybe not. The last 2 Star Spawn are both formed when a powerful spellcaster attempts to contact them. When they do so, the comet-born emissaries merge into the mind of this foolish mortal, creating either a powerful mage or a seer. The Larva Mage appears humanoid in form, but is thousands or millions of larvae who have formed together into a single, writhing humanoid shape. It can summon forth masses of eldritch worms, blinding and restraining its opponents. The Seer retains little of its humanoid form, transforming its host into a being with flippers and tumorous skin. The Seer entity is often the cult leader dedicated to an Elder Evil. They seek to bridge the multiverse with the Far Realm to help usher in their Elder Gods and bring madness to the worlds. The seer's primary purpose on the material plane is to use the energy of the universe to form a bridge between the delicate consciousness of the material plane and the terrifying insanity of an elder evil's prison. To help augment your cult of ne'er-do-wells, the book also comes with a few boons that you can grant your starspawn or cultists, giving them ways of ushering in the power of their elder evil. While Hadar, Albar, and Ulban and the others don't show up, we do have boons for Borum, the Lake of Boiling Mud, Atropus, the World-Born Dead, Hask, the Voice of Harrogat, Tyanthraxrus, the Flame One, and Tharazun, the Chain God. Borum and Atropus are thought to be primordials, though Atropus is an undead primordial in the shape of a planet. Hask is thought to be a lost god, attaching itself to the elder evil of Harrogat to further its own life when almost slain. The final entity, Tharazun, is a god from Greyhawk and is said to be responsible for creating the Abyss, an act that got it imprisoned for eternity by the other gods who thought it was a bad idea. None of these really jump out to us as elder evils, but we suppose being an elder evil is an easy club to join. You just have to be weird. This edition features 2 more Starspawn and Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft from 2021, with the Lesser Starspawn Emissary and the Greater Starspawn Emissary. However, they are technically the same monster, just in different forms. An emissary is not the servant of an elder evil, but rather alien realms given sentience and form, almost like a natural disaster that invades the material plane, attempting to break its reality and twist it into the far realm. These creatures work to destroy order and trust, bringing about apocalypses and massive changes that cause sanity to shatter. They accomplish these goals by walking the world, disguised as anyone or anything that would best allow them to blend into their environment. They can take any form that would best serve these plans and attempt to cause chaos and dismay. The Lesser Emissary morphs into its true form, that of a bipedal mass of organs, orifices, and appendages, only when their true nature is revealed. It has no true form, but instead, every form it has ever taken makes an appearance on its bulk. While fighting the Lesser Emissary, you must contend with it attacking your mind, physical attacks, and bubbling acid. Fun times. If you defeat the Lesser Emissary, the fight is not done as its body dissolves and a Greater Emissary suddenly explodes into reality nearby. Doesn't really seem fair, does it? The Greater Emissary appears as a 25-foot column of flesh, alien physiology twisted into horrific organs, and a cacophony of noise and sound. The creature is still an emissary starspawn, just more powerful. On the positive side, its attacks are mostly the same as the lesser form. Of course, there's a pretty horrifying downside too. The Greater Emissary can shoot bile in its form, summoning forth gibbering mouthers that attempt to rip and tear into its enemies. Only by defeating this final form can you safely say that an emissary is dead, but we don't trust it. If there's one thing we have learned, creatures from the far realm have a loose idea about rules that govern the universe. We suggest lots of fireballs, just to make sure. Whether they were sent by the stars or simply ride on comets, these creatures are the envoys of the Elder Evils, eldritch beings from a realm outside of a mortal's understanding. This realm isn't just one place either, and so every starspawn that arrives here comes with its own horrific appearance and desires. Some wish to see the far realm consume the material plane, while others merely wish to feed on life in a desperate attempt to keep their eldritch gods alive.